good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. My name is Virginie Vitcz, and I am a mentor and advisor for thought leaders, celebrities, and business women. I decided to launch a series of interviews of women who are the best in their fields, and they are everywhere in the world. Today, my guest is Charlotte Barbier, and she is an entrepreneur, a business coach, or shall I say a money coach or a financial coach, you'll tell us. And she's also a mom, and she's gonna please introduce yourself to us, to the audience. Thank you, Charlotte.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for a lovely introduction. And you say my name so beautifully because not many people can say Barbier because it's French, but you say it beautifully. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that sounded so beautiful when you said it. So I am Charlotte Barbier, and I am the co-founder of The Money Mavens, which is a UK-based, but we actually coach internationally, so globally. We have clients all over the world, and I co-founded it with my business partner Josie. But before that, I'm going to take you back to 2003 because I actually started my life as an entrepreneur back in 2003 when I spotted in the UK a massive gap for a fashion-forward, a very directional bridal brand, because my background and my family always worked in the wedding industry. And I could see that there was a massive gap in the market. So as a very young and tenacious and determined and creative woman, I decided that I would launch my own brand when I was just 23, called Charlotte Barbier. And I'm very pleased to say that I grew that from nothing, from no stockists to being a global brand. It was stocked all around the world, and it turned into a multi-seven-figure business.
Wow.
And really, really successful. And thank you. I got to travel around the world. I got to work around the world. I got to dress women all around the world. And I've always been about making women feel the most confident and amazing. And I believe that the way something makes you feel, whether that's back then a dress, it wasn't about how it made them look. That was like another part of it. I wanted them to feel amazing. I wanted to empower them. So when we then started the Money Mavens and I went into coaching and mentoring, I realized that now I empower women to again feel amazing, but it's just I'm not giving them a really pretty dress at the end of it, but I'm still doing the same thing. So it's really important to me that my whole career I've always been empowering women, making them feel confident, and you can do that through whether it's been me making wedding dresses and making them feel amazing to now coaching them in their business. We're called the Money Mavens because we're about unapologetically supporting women make money. Because I think there's a lot of still, we call it like shame, but like women apologizing for wanting to be successful, for wanting to make money and to want to talk about it. So we started a podcast called The Money Mavens, and then everyone was like, that's so cool. And we were like, yeah, it's like what we do. I love sales. I love marketing. I love women making money. So we've just launched it into a total business now, and that's what we do.
Good. That's great. I'm fascinated by your career. So what about your other business? Is it still going on, or?
So I sold that 5 years ago. So what happened was I sold my name. I didn't sell the business. So I still own the business, but I sold the name to somebody else. So like, like Estee Lauder, for example, buy lots of different names off different brands. And then the founder sells the name, and then you have like a non-compete disclosure for around 3 to 5 years, depending on how big the brand is. Yeah. But as I don't make wedding dresses anymore, so I can use my name, but in a different way. Okay. So I'm still Charlotte Barbier because obviously that's me. Yeah. But they trade now. They still make wedding dresses, but it's just called Charlotte Bridal now. So they do it slightly differently. And I don't now have anything to do with that brand at all. I've completely exited that now.
Okay, great. Oh, I love that story. Thank you. Very inspiring already. What challenge was the most difficult challenge you encounter in your life? And how did you manage to go back on track after that?
I think there's been, I know I'm missing one, but I think there's kind of been two. Probably the first one was when I first started, because a lot of people, I felt, or maybe it was my imposter syndrome, I felt like they didn't take me seriously because I was so young. And I was 23.
Wow.
I was 23, and it was an industry where everyone was a lot older and a lot more established, and the average age was probably mid-40s. So I think I always thought that people didn't take me seriously. But looking back now, I'm wondering if it was just my imposter syndrome. Now I've done a lot of work on my mindset. I'm thinking maybe I was just telling myself a story that wasn't true. I don't know. But I used to think that because I was having to sell to people, and they were like, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 23. but why this? And then when we kind of went back into the workplace after having my little boy at 40, and then doing it again a bit older, I thought, well, am I too old? So I kind of went from one to the other. I went from like thinking I was maybe too young to thinking I was too old. So I think they've been, but again, I think it's me and my limiting, that you protect yourself by telling yourself a story that isn't necessarily true. And it's a way of maybe protecting yourself, because it isn't a challenge, because at the end of the day, whatever age you are, you can do whatever you want to do, because anything is possible, and our dreams can be a reality. Whether you start your journey at 16 when you leave school, or you could be 65 and decide you wanted to do something all your life. But I think as society, we're told that we should do this, 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 and this. Yes. It's like when I had my son at 40, I thought I was too old. But it's only because everyone tells you should have children when you're younger. But there's nothing wrong with being a first-time mum at 40 either. In fact, it's lovely. So I think they were two challenges that kind of sprang to mind straight away.
Okay. So how you were thinking that you were too young, or maybe you were too young, but how did you manage to go back on track when you had those people looking at you and this mindset of maybe it's another way of saying I'm not good enough to younger people, right? Because when you in your first business, you were 23, so you didn't have the experience that you have today, and you didn't have the coaching experience that you have today, which is I have to change my mindset. So at 23 and first business, for the ladies who are 23 and who are like, what shall I do? And how did you back on track? And how did you come back on track? What did you do?
So I wish I had the mindset tools back then, because I think it would have been easier on my mindset. Like I didn't have all those tools, but what I had was I was extremely determined, tenacious, ambitious, and I don't really take no for an answer anyway in anything. And so I would just keep going and going. And I also knew that what I had was special. I knew that I developed a brand and a product that needed to be out in the marketplace. And I knew that if I didn't do it, I was doing a disservice to all these younger, fashion forward, at the time, there was nothing like what I was producing. Now there is. There's so many beautiful brands like my brand. But at the time, there was nothing. And I just thought, I've got to do this. And I really wanted to do it. So nothing, and I mean nothing, was going to stop me. I was very, very determined.
So determination was the thing that made you always go back on track. And well, we have a saying in the Kundalini yoga area. We say, keep up and you will be kept up. So it was like, it's the same. Right? So what would you say today to your younger self?
I would say, don't be so hard on yourself. I was definitely, and I can be, and I think we all are, like women in general, tend to be quite hard on ourselves. So I was definitely a perfectionist. So I wanted everything to be perfect. and I wanted to be the best from the day one. And so if something I didn't feel was perfect, I would beat myself up about it. What I've learned since I've gone into the coaching world is that done is better than perfect sometimes. But when you are product-based like I was, especially in the wedding industry where it does need to be perfect, it's been hard for me then to transition into this world, because I've realised that I don't need to have everything perfect for it still to be amazing. So that for me, it's been hard. But I think that I was very, very, very hard on myself. And that probably pushed me, because I would be constantly like, you've got to do better. You've got to, build business, do more. But I didn't always have the best time, maybe mentally, because I'd kind of be a bit mean to myself. And I think it's important to be kind to yourself. And I'm definitely a lot kinder to myself in my 40s. Definitely.
Yes. You still have this excellence that you want to reach, which is perfection, but it's more like from what I hear, it's excellence that you wanted to reach. And this is good. This is good. Yeah. So what would be your advice to a woman who is stuck in her life, has a dream, but doesn't go for it? It happens.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is there's never the perfect or right time to do anything. The right time is right now. So if you're waiting for when I've got this, and you could list off 10 reasons why you can't do it, but none of those are important, because they're probably not going to go away, because you're always going to have something that's going to come up in life. There is no such thing as the perfect time. So if you're wanting to do it, you've got to start it today. And that's where you've got to draw on 3 things. First of all, you've got to take away the fear and think, it's scary. I feel really uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm just going to grit. And you have to be quite gritty and just think, I'm going to do it. Then you've got to really believe that it's possible for you, that this is your birthright and you can do it. And then you've got to trust the process, that it might not show itself straight away. You might be launching a product or a service or a mastermind or a new offer or whatever it is that you do. And people might say no, but it doesn't mean it's a no forever. It's just a no right now, because people buy people and they have to know, like, and trust you. So when the first time you do something, they might know you and they might like you, but they haven't got any trust there. So you've got to trust yourself that it will all come to you. And that's what I've learned, the biggest thing that I've learned over. And when I teach now and speak to clients, I say to them, people give up on business because it's not easy. But if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yes.
But if you stick with it, what's on the other side of it is amazing, because what's on the other side is the freedom that you get from having money and not possibilities and all of those things.
An accomplishment.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Mm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What are you most proud about today?
I think obviously 2 things. I'm obviously very proud that I'm a mum. I waited a very long time to have my son. I had IVF to have him. I didn't think it would happen for me. So to have my child, he's 5 now, Harry, he's obviously amazing. But I'm also really, really proud of the fact that I have, built a very successful business. But then I'll be honest, after I sold that and had Harry and had some time out, I lost my confidence a little bit. And I questioned who I was, and I questioned my abilities and all of those things. And now Josie and I are running another successful business together, and it's really exciting, and we're doing really, really well. And I'm like, wow, like, you can have more than one career and one success in your life. And I always thought that bridal would define me, but it hasn't. It just gave me the foundations to be able to do what I do now. And I love what I did then. And don't get me wrong, I really miss it, but it was a chapter in my life that was amazing. But I'm so proud that I've been able to come out of thinking, what am I going to do? Like, what's next for me? Because I knew I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mum for the rest of my life. And I didn't know what the future was going to look like. But now I'm in this, I'm like, this is what I was always meant to do. But I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah. I was listening to you and I thought, I hear that you must have been worried after you sold your business. But again, I think that when you succeed in one thing, you imprint the pattern of success into your aura, into your psyche, and then you just have to find something else that is interesting for you, right? And then, right? So, I mean, you're going to have probably 2 or 4 or 3 other businesses maybe in your life, and it's going to be a success too, because you with your first business, you already learn so many things, and you learn how to imprint success in your body, I think.
Yeah, I think that you as well, like you're an energetic match, then you know I can turn over that kind of money, I can attract that kind of money, I can attract those kind of clients, you know, so then you know that you're an energetically a good match for it. And you're right in what you say. It's about them finding something that's a really good fit for you. Because I tried lots of different things and I got so many opportunities came my way after I sold my brand. And I tried all sorts of things. And I was like, doesn't feel right. And I walked away from things, you know, things that could have earned a lot of money and weren't offering me money. I was like, no, I have to be lit up. I have to feel like I'm making a difference. And then when I met Josie and we started doing this, it was like all those feelings came back that I had when I started my bridal business. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what it's meant to be. But I had to go through a couple of years of real questioning everything. But that was obviously part of the process. So if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking it's not going to happen, you know, it will. You've got to trust, though, and you believe in yourself.
And believe in what you feel, because this is the key, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean for you to be a strong woman in the 3rd millennium?
I think it's, for me, personally, it's about being a high-value woman. So, and that's your own version of, you can take your own version of being a high value woman. And it's a little mantra that I say to myself a lot of like, is this me acting from a high value, woman of high value? Because for me in that, it's so many things. It's self-care, it's self-love, it's boundaries, it's freedom, it's being successful, it's nourishing my body and nourishing my mind. And there's so many different things that come into that. And I think speaking my truth as well. I think when you get older, you get so much more confident. And maybe again, when you become a parent, you become more confident because everything changes for you. And I think in the last 18 months, I've really stepped into just being much more living my life how I want to on my terms. So I feel like, yeah, I'm a lot more empowered, definitely. And I think that comes from as well who you surround yourself with.
Yes. Definitely. Yes, and you have a good surrounding.
I do. I'm very blessed.
As a little girl, what did you dream about for your future life, and how close are you to this dream?
I'd say I have actually lived my childhood dream. So I always wanted to make dresses. I wasn't always sure if they were going to be wedding dresses, but I always wanted to have my own brand. Now, when I was little, I didn't know what that it meant having an own brand because I didn't know what that meant. But I used to, my grandparents were both seamstress and tailors, and they made wedding dresses. So I was always making things, and I always wanted to do that. And then when I left school, I kind of pushed back against it a little bit and didn't want to do it because I thought, very foolishly, thought that it would be the easy thing to do because it's what my family did. So I was like, oh, it'll be easy and everyone will think it's easy. But actually, it was harder because I had to live up to their expectations, their reputation and their high standards. And they pushed me really, really hard. So it was actually a lot harder than I thought doing it. But I definitely have lived because I just always wanted to be around beautiful products, make beautiful products. And I like making people feel amazing. I've always been the kind of woman who's from being a little girl, I've always been like, wanted to be around other girls and be their friend and keep everyone included and never left anyone out. You know, I had a big heart and I was very kind. And I think when you go then into something like the wedding industry, you take those skills with you because you are part of something so personal with someone that you need to do it from a place of love as well and kindness.
Yeah.
And then when you go into coaching, again, you get building these really strong connections with women, and they're really trusting you with so much more than their business because you're working on mindset and you're so entwined in their life. And I've got clients that have been with me for the last few years, and I know everything about their life and business. So again, you've got to be on their side and on their team. So I feel like as a child, I didn't know what all those things meant, but I feel like as an adult looking back, I'm like, yeah, I've done all the things that I was like as a little girl, definitely. So I feel really lucky. I mean, I'm so lucky.
You are, but you went for your dream. So you didn't, you didn't settle. You were like, okay, as you said, determined.
Very.
And who inspired you the most when you were younger and why?
Definitely my mum, because she was a single mum. She had me at 17. My dad wasn't around. She raised me on her own. She had to work all the hours to keep us. And then she started her own business when she was 30 or 29, 30. And she was really successful. And so I had her as a role model always. And then my grandfather, my grandfather was my main figure in my life. You know, I absolutely adored him, and he was very successful and very wise and gave me a lot of amazing guidance that I now pass on to my clients. I was actually talking to a client yesterday and I said something. She said, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Where did you hear that?" I said, "Actually, my granddad used to say it to me all the time." And I think he would love, he's not with us anymore, but I know he's be looking at me talking about these things and be so proud because he was such an amazing man. So I think those two people for me really shaped who I am and helped me and inspired me to want to be, because I used to think if I could be even half as successful as my mum, I'd be really happy. And then she always says to me, "But you are so much more successful than I was." And I'm like, wow, do you think? Because to hear someone that you think so amazing say that. So
I love your story. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What would you say to a woman who thinks she's too young or too old to create her dream life?
Say, I think from everything I've said today, I've shown that you can do it at any age. I've done it from being 23 to then starting again almost in my early 40s. And I think that I know women who I've actually coached, or women that are like friends and stuff that have done things in their 60s when they've retired from like a career that they've had. They've then started their own business and been really successful. I'm really happy. I think age is only a problem if we let it be.
Yeah.
I think that it's not, because there's so many gorgeous things that come with every age and every time and season of our lives. And what you have when you're younger is the energy, I don't think you have as much fear. You're more tenacious, you haven't got the responsibilities maybe as much of, and almost it's good that you haven't got the life experiences because you don't have as much fear. But then on the other side, when you're older, you have all that life experience. And so you can draw on that. So I think that both ends of the spectrum are amazing, but in different ways. And the middle bit's also amazing. And I think, like I said before, there's no right time. I'd rather get to the end of my life and think, I lived my life how I wanted it to do. And that's what I want for every woman that I ever speak to, work with, come across, who listen to our podcast, that they can say, yeah, I did it. I tried and I did it and I didn't give up.
Yeah. In your opinion, what are the pluses to be coached by a woman instead of a man?
I've been coached by both.
Yeah.
So I think I can say, I can speak from experience.
Yes.
What I like about being coached by a woman, I think that from my experience, they care. There's more compassion, more kindness. They're not as black and white. This is a world where we do colour and colour. It's not, the world isn't black and white. And so with women, they see the bits in between. They allow for the masculine and the feminine energy. And I think that there is room, and it's beautiful to flow the two together. And I love masculine energy and I love feminine energy. I like being in hustle, but I like being in like flow mode as well. And with a female coach, you get that. You get the lovely, beautiful combination of the two, and you get each other. And I think you can sometimes speak more truthfully and more emotionally with a woman, and they get it. Whereas my experience with a man is, it's been really good for a masculine energy and maybe a real action taking, but it needs to be short because it drains you. Whereas with a woman, they can fill your cup back up again, and they can like really connect with you on a spiritual level and a woman to woman level. So we only work with women, and people say to me, oh, why do you only work with women? That's like really bad. And like, we just connect with women more, and it's what we choose to do. And, it's our business, so we can do what we want to do with it. And I personally now would only work with a female coach. I enjoyed what I did with the male coaches, but it didn't fill me back up again enough. It kind of depleted me a little bit. And I thought, this is kind of the opposite of what should be happening here. So
yes, definitely. And what big problem did you encounter in your career that a man won't? Because you've been, it's your second business right now, so you have a quite good view and perspective of what is happening in the world and what you've been through, so you can tell from different experiences.
I think the only time I felt it a little bit was when I did my transition from the old business to the new business. Mm-hmm. I tried to make new connections and open new doors, and sometimes I found men, and I don't again know if this was sometimes me, but like they were almost like, oh, well, you've just had a baby, so what possibly could you be then wanting to come back from work for? And like it was like the first question that men would ask.
Oh,
women didn't ask it, but the first
millennium.
Question,
it's interesting.
The men would say, how old's your baby? Didn't you just have a baby? And I'd be like, well, he's 18 months or whatever now. Oh, right. And you want to go back to work? And I was like, well, yes, because I have a brain, and it's, I want to use it and I want to do it, and I enjoy it. And it's actually quite healthy to be away from your child. And it was like the first question. And I thought, women didn't ask me that. Women were like, how's Harry? Are you loving being a mum? It was like a totally different conversation. Aren't you inspiring wanting to start a new business when you've got a young, it was like a completely different conversation. And I felt like men shut me down. And it was like, oh, if we work with her, now she's had a baby, her head will be all over the place. Since he's older now and they've seen me go back into doing stuff, the conversations have been different. And I just thought that wouldn't happen to a man. It would not happen to a man. But it's like we almost are told that you can't have a baby, be a mum and be successful. It's like, and I'm like, well, of course you can. Of course you can.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
All the women that I interview, they have children. Sometimes they don't because they are too young, but they have children, they have a husband, they handle everything and multi-figure businesses. So yes, it's possible for anyone to do this.
Well, sometimes the busier you are, the more productive you are. Like exactly. When I train a lot of business owners on how to recruit people into their business, and if they say, I want someone that's really good at multitasking, someone that's really good under pressure and blah, 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 I'm like, get a mum. Because she's like, when you have, because before I had Harry, my whole life, like going out, for example, I would spend like 2 hours getting ready, and it was like having a glass of wine, music on, doing my hair. Now it's like 20 minutes, get ready, out the door. So, you get so much busier. And I think that, again, it's like amazing. I love the time before being a mum, because it's just such a lovely time in your life where time is on your side and you can do all these things. But then on the flip side of it, I like being a mum because it's made me speed up and, get things done. And so there's both of it's beautiful. Whether you want to be a mum or not be a mum, or whatever, whichever part of your life you're in, it's amazing, and you can make the most of that time. Definitely.
Good. After these questions, what would be your last word for this interview? What do you think about what we talked about and how you feel? And if you want to inspire a woman today, what would you say to her?
I would say to just do it. Don't wait any longer. The longer you wait, the chances are, I know that you're not going to do it. Whatever your dream is, that thing that keeps you awake at night, that you think, I wish I could do that, it's possible. And you just have to start. You have to make that decision. And I know you're going to be scared, and I'm not saying it, and it doesn't ever go away. It just gets easier to manage, because people often say to me, when you got to the top of where you were in your other career, did all those things go away? I'm like, no, they didn't go away, but because you've had success then, and you've made mistakes, and you've had the ups and the downs, you're just a bit better with it. It doesn't mean that you don't have imposter syndrome, or you don't feel fear, or because it's a different level, so therefore it's a different devil. The saying is true, what they say, but it just gets easier. And now what we do now, I don't really ever don't really have any fear anymore. I kind of have overcome that a lot, and I just go for it. And I think I know it'll all work out. Like I'll figure it out, because I know, and I believe in myself. But I know when you start, and you don't have all of that, but if you don't start, you'll look back and think, my life, life is quick. It's so quick, and it's better to take the risk, and then lose the chance to do it. Like, it's so much better to just go for it, because once you start, it'll all start working out, and then you'll want it more and more, and then just go with it. It's the best thing. I think having your own business, or having your own brand, or speaking your truth and being who you want to be is the best thing ever, because what's the point of living if you're not going to do the things that light you up?
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you. Perfect. You inspired me. You inspired me. Thank you. So tell us about your next project, how people can reach you. And I know that you won an award last year.
We did.
Right?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So we had a lot of achievements last year that were amazing. We co-authored a best-selling Amazon book, Josie and I, with some other authors. We won a collaboration of the year because we collaborated our two businesses together last year, and we won an award for it. We moved into our own office, which I'm in at the moment. We call it the Pink Palace because it's all pink. We officially now have had the podcast over a year, and we've the listeners is literally just amazing. And then we sold out 2 of our masterminds, and we also have a lot of private clients, and we've actually got an event coming up in 10 days. No, not even that now. I think 9 days, sold out event. Although we've got one spot, I think, left, because the venue have said that they can fit one more person in. So that's exciting. So that's been when we first started kind of on this journey as the Mini Mavens, we wrote down things that we wanted in like a 5-year plan, and we did all of them more or less in the first year. So now we've gone a lot bigger. I think we probably were like not being ambitious enough or something. I don't know, because we didn't think we'd be able to do it as quickly as we have. So we've sat down and redone the next 5-year plan and gone like massively bigger on what we want to do.
That's great. So the Money Maven, right? It's the name of the podcast. Is it your website where people can reach you?
Yeah.
You on Instagram, Facebook, maybe? Where?
Yeah, so we tend to hang out on Instagram the most, with the Money Mavens on Instagram. And then me personally, I also have my own Instagram account, which is, I use that as my main platform. That's kind of a mix of business,
it's Charlotte Barbier, BALBIER.
Yeah, and so that's really like popular. It has a lot of traction because I've had it a long time. So I've got a lot of people that come to it for like lifestyle or, you know, just generally wanting to connect. And also I do business things on there. And then we have the Money Mavens there, we have the podcast and LinkedIn as well. I'm on LinkedIn all the time on LinkedIn. Again, it's my name, Charlotte Barbier, on there. So yeah, but there's lots. We're basically on every single social platform you can think of.
Good.
We are there.
Good. So we can find you easily. Thank you so much, Charlotte. It was a real pleasure to meet you, to interview you. Thank you so much for all your advice, for your passion, and for sharing that. If you want to do something, anything is possible. Just go for it. Right? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you very soon with another amazing woman in this series of interview, Femmes Mythiques, legendary women. Thank you.